Got it. So, hello and welcome to Magnificent Minds and Magnificent Times, because that's where we are right now, right? Today's panel is Cosmonaut Detective Johnnie Womack and Maureen Moore, Light Language, Reshma Eugene, Lighthouse 333, and Mehernaz, and you are on fire. I never learned that name.
It's okay, Fire Bearer Wellness.
Yeah, that's right. So welcome everyone.
Welcome. Oh,
Good to see you again.
It's been a while. I'm happy to be here. Yeah.
Good to see you all. It's so nice. Thank you, Eva, for arranging.
Yeah, well, it's been a long time since we met, so it's just so fun to see everybody here, and it feels like we are back together again.
Yes.
Family started. Yeah. So if we should talk about what we have been going through, you have some pretty good topics, if we should call that. Will you start to talk about them, Mehernaz?
Sure. Yeah. So we were just thinking about getting together today because for discussing these common things that a lot of light workers face about as you move forward with your work and your vibrations rise, a lot of times you shed and sort of feel more disconnected with the rest of the people in your lives, and it could be family and friends and all of that, and how to really manage that, and what would be the best way to handle when someone is feeling that way. But also the reason that this seems more pronounced right now is because I think the pace of it has increased, or just increased. And then a lot of us, when we get busy with our day-to-day lives, and sort of focus on that, that's one way of dealing with that. But in the back of our minds, we're realizing that we're so far away from the people in our lives. It's like our own people don't even know who we are anymore, and we just either don't look at it, or then when it's time to look at it, how do we really work on handling that? So that was the just the discussion, and it's an open-ended question, I guess.
Isn't that something that we're all feeling? Like we are in a relationship with our own family and friends, and yet we are so distant sometimes from them. And that's a split we were talking about earlier this year, because we have now entered the second half of this year. But when we started this year, we were talking about the split that was going to come between the humanity, the choice of moving forward and staying behind. And isn't that a bit of this alien friendship, like you're so close and you're yet so distant away from each other at this moment?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And again, the reason why it's more pronounced is like even certain alignments, like this particular Virgo new moon, the reason it got pronounced or highlighted is we entered this gene key 22, which is about, it's called grace through struggle. But what it really is that people can either go very down in the dumps or kind of make a breakthrough. So for a lot of people, a lot of old things are coming up if they're like in tune or, looking into it. And, just one of those other layers that are coming up. And I feel like the layers are amping up in like degree of not just like how fast it happens, but also the degree of the way it happens, like when you look at the alignments. And so it's almost like what I feel like as we move into the dimension of oneness, and once we completely do, we cannot be touched is what I feel in terms of, being attacked or anything like that. But in the meantime, it's like what they're trying to say is you can't go out there with carrying any of your baggage. So it's time to sort of drop it. So there's a lot of, for everybody in their own way, things, are amping up and being highlighted to be resolved. And as that happens, and, as we also kind of go deeper and deeper and deeper into the work and all of that, the disconnect with the mundane, or like, because the dimensions are literally separating more and more. So like, how do we navigate that separation? And of course, there's two schools of thought. One is that, you still meet them where they're at, because, the idea is, that oneness needs to be maintained. And while that is absolutely a great thing, the question more so is how, as it gets very palpable and very, very, apparent. So, yeah.
But are we really going to meet people in their own terms, or shall we let people meet, how should I say, step up and meet us in a new frequency?
So, everybody steps up in their own time. So even between all of us as we're going through, it's a different journey, even though it's similar. So like, again, where you're at, that's where you'll feel the alignment, right? For all of us.
Yeah.
So expecting them to step up and meet us at the pace at which it's growing is almost impractical, is what I feel. Like literally the channeling that came through was like, we're no longer responsible for healing those that are not willing. Like we cannot, like it's too late. Like they have to figure this out for themselves now, not too late, but like they will be navigating their own energies and coming to this point when they can. But the energies do get denser as the time goes, so they may have to navigate even denser energies, which may be even harder considering where they're at. And so they may or may not be able to make it, something like that. But either way, what I got was we're not responsible. So what that means is that, like, if there are people who are draining our energy or kind of surviving off our energy, or then those they sort of need to really just kind of, so which means that we were indirectly being told that it's possibly best if we disconnect, not so much disconnect in the sense that, okay, for any other reason, but simply to conserve your own, and also to it's like a pace, like Gaia is at this pace, and it's almost like, you keep up with that pace or you're not at that pace. So there's that came through. But then the reason for the struggle is that, we're here to teach them, we're here to be in oneness. So how do we navigate that, right? Because it's not like a complete it's not like a complete one way or the other type of thing. So that's where but what it was clearly said was like, if they're not willing and they're that struggle is their struggle, and you don't need to kind of be part of it. That was a clear message.
It's like to be observing what's going on. The same thing that we like to think that the alien nation are doing, observing without interfering with us. So, because that is the old us, isn't it? That we always want to, listen in, tune in, and be there, helping, supporting, without permission or asking. We are just stepping in there and offering our services and guidance. And I heard someone, I think it was in this group, like, and this is so similar to what I self have experienced when I was practicing healing a lot in my earlier day, I stopped at a time when I felt like they didn't come because they wanted to move forward. They just wanted a quick fix and keep doing what they usually do. So that is one of the reasons that I put a later on it and stopped practicing, because I couldn't exactly handle that attitude. So that is because I had the view of how I wanted to fix it, and they weren't prepared to receive it. So this is a learning process for us in this now too, to actually not interfere with someone else's journey. Or how do you see it?
This is a very, very good point. And this is the second piece to that, One, how are we socially with our people? And then how are we as healers? And I think that's another struggle that I think all of us have spoken to, have faced. And you were not alone with that, is where, so with that, the one thing that we got, I think one time Reshma and I went on a journey, and I think what we got was the only place we can meet them is where they're at, in the sense that I think one time I think Maureen and I also got the same thing. So it's basically what they're saying is that we can give as much healing as possible, but they can only get it to the extent that they can receive it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to clarify that their soul mission and their soul timeline, the things that their soul can accept at that time, that's what will be allowed to be healed at that time. It's like the soul knows where the person's at. And so and I wanted to add too, we got this message about compassion, and compassion is a form of compassion is not getting involved and absorbing what they're going through and, egging it on or trying to help it when they don't want that. And you guys had this message in there about this lady talking about belief as part of the equation in healing and stuff like that. And that is a major factor in healing. If somebody's coming for the quick fix, they don't even care what you're doing. They don't even have the belief or the understanding. It's just like, hey, I want to, do what you're gonna do, and hopefully it works, like,
Yeah.
and then they'll try someone else, but they have to get to the point. Each person has to get to the point of understanding that they need to know who they are, and they need to do deep diving on their self as to why they are the way they are, why they're experiencing what they're experiencing, and what steps they need to take to move forward. And a lot of people don't want to do that. Ask the questions, why?
No, because it's so much easier to let someone else be responsible for your own life. So that's like handing over your own power to someone else, and then you have a, how should I say, a scapegoat, but when things doesn't turn out the way I want to, it's not my fault because I have already given away my power. So yeah. So what's the new paradigm here? It's like stepping into your power, take responsibility, or how should we address it?
Well, I think that it's still all about frequency too. And I think I mentioned this in a text conversation with you all, that and I think you hold this belief anyway, is that we're coming in at whatever frequency we are holding.
Mm-hmm.
And if we meet each other, you're right, if one chooses to interact, they're finding ways to find a middle ground to meet. And maybe that doesn't look like a complete opening to everything we want to share and express. But by being there in that moment, we are the portal for that light that we hold, our intentions of unconditional love and compassion. And then how that is like, I feel like my lesson was to give up control on how one might receive that. And then as a divine vessel of highest love and light, if that's what I, that I want to express, then how it's received, maybe the best in the moment gift that person can have is the trigger they have from whatever it is I express or see that seems like disharmony.
Mhm.
I know when I can think of family or that triggered myself and they caused me to look into, or I was triggered like something about myself that really took on a healing afterwards. So I don't know if I'm answering the question exactly, but I feel that now it is like we take back the idea that we can do it, like everyone has to hold their own responsibility, they're on their own soul path for whatever lessons they're intending to learn. And if we can help through compassion and support that's asked for, or it's like, I just think it's like we have to, I feel like for myself, I have to step out of control completely. And what happens is sort of, I don't know if that totally answers the situation of how we enter. So when I go into a group or like, let's say something that I haven't been in for a long time, or a structure that I don't really participate in anymore, my attitude is just to show up within my own spark. I picture the spark of light within each and every other person, regardless. I used to be, before I know that I was a judger, like I was kind of programmed, like just judging every little detail. I'm very visual and things, and how people project themselves and that. And it was just how I, was conditioned and taught for a long time until I became more aware and awake. And now I'm trying to show up and let everyone look at with interest how each one person is choosing to express in that moment. And I really believe even without us doing anything, if we are holders of the light and love, that it is making a difference. And that is what I get in the channel messages too. Not that we're saving them, we're assisting them to meet the frequency and become more open or something.
Can I add one more?
That's going on.
I know we were all going through like family issues in August. I feel like the whole community was experiencing family experiences. And I was actually upset with my reaction to some things that happened. I was just like, why did I get annoyed? Why did I get upset? It's like, what is the reason? Why am I upset? And I just received this wonderful message, like, I am light. They are light. I am love. They are love. And it's literally like how we know that everyone is like a mirror for yourself, right? And we're just reflecting back what we're receiving. So what I'm reflecting back is that person's pain, that person's anger, right? So instead of looking at the situation as being like a drama that you have to replay and dissect and analyze, look at it as your teaching moment of light within each other, as everything is light, even the darkest dark, there's light, right? So we're learning to seriously be with all forms and frequencies and vibrations, and navigate that with love for ourselves, because it's not easy seeing the dark in ourselves sometimes. The fact that you get angry, the fact that you get upset, the fact that You know, you can't be happy and love all the time, 24/7, right? But that's everyone else. Everyone else can't be happy and love all the time. It's constantly going like this, and I feel like it's just us learning to breathe through these times.
And what you are talking about is a bit of the law of attraction, that you attract whatever you are pouring out there. But there's also another dimension to it. So even though you are not, if we should use this mirror reflection, because this is kind of interesting, you can look at it in so many different ways. Even though you are using the mirror reflection, it's not necessary that you are experiencing or sending out the energies that are approaching you. But if we are looking at the law and attraction piece, there will always be somewhere that you are struggling with, for example, self-worthness or self-judgment or judgmental about others, and they can also create this mirror reflection, even though it can be sometimes very hard, to be the receiver of someone else's acting towards you, and to see how I'm actually allowing that reaction within me coming at me, because the problem or the answer is laying within something else. So now I'm tangling up again and trying to explain, but it's a rather complex situation, because nothing is simple anymore. It's not black or white. It's a rainbow color in between. So there's so many good explanations. Or is it just me? Do you feel the same, or do you understand what I'm talking about? Or should I be quiet for some time?
Yeah, doing great.
But do you get what I mean? That the
Yeah.
reflection is laying on another level at this time. We are facing a lot of other energies pouring in, and nothing is so simple as they used to be. It's not like I'm happy, I'm meeting happy people, I'm sad, I'm meeting sad people. Now it's like I'm happy meeting sad people, and I still don't know why. So
No, I agree with you completely.
Yeah.
Like, if someone's triggering us, we definitely need to look at the reflection within us and why that trigger still exists. And I think that's what they mean. That's, I think, the crux of navigating that oneness frequency. But it's just, it's good to break down the meaning of it, because it's easier said than done.
it is. Yeah.
Well,
Definitely is.
okay, you guys are awesome. I just can't believe you're all hitting on many layers, and we're like Mehernaz says, we're navigating new waters. Well, we're moving from the third dimension to the fourth dimension. And in the third dimension, we were taught when we were little kids that you have to be nice to everyone. You can't think of yourself first. You have to be, this person to others and forget about yourself. And in the fourth dimension, we're being asked to concentrate on our own self and our own healing. So right there, that's the first thing we have to unlearn everything we've been taught to learn.
Yeah.
And unlearning things that we've been programmed to learn is so hard. And so Mehernaz, these people are coming to you because they see that you are navigating these waters, and they're struggling over here in this little boat, bobbing up and down, and they want to latch onto your boat because you seem to be going in the right direction. And we are doing something that's never been done before. and we are going to constantly be challenged every day, not only to pay attention to and go into our hearts, but when people want to latch onto us, it comes down to two things. There's service to self and service to others, and everyone has chosen that, their own group. They already have chosen that. So if you're approached by a person that's service to others and you recognize their intent, then you choose whether you can help that person. If you see that person as service to self, do you want them to drain your energy? Do you want them to pull your boat under the water, you know, because they're attached to it? So if you break it down to little pieces, it makes it easier to navigate your own boat.
It's like subtle boundaries though, and not quite, I mean, not that you're saying it's black and white, because I do think then how do others awaken from
Oh,
their
no,
self-
no, I'm not saying black and white at all.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
just
I
saying,
know. So
if
we learn our
you-
subtle boundaries about
But
what
there are
opens
subtle
their mind.
boundaries, but you can also have to use your discernment to tell what are their intentions.
Right.
So Mehernaz has been wanting to know, how do I allow someone to suck me down, or what do I do when these people are attaching themselves to me? So I think that's what you're saying, Mehernaz. So
Partly, yes.
That's part.
The struggle only is that, you know, I've always struggled with this question that if we're here to teach them, if I just completely like cut them off, because there is that option, but then that's not me navigating it, that's me escaping it, is what I feel. So
That's
like,
a good point.
right, and if it's family and all that, then we really can't cut them off. I mean, we can keep our distance, of course, and that we do, but like the message that you sent Johnny the other day about, like, you know, the message from, I think it was Almoria, that you know, we have to learn how to love each and every being and meet them where they are at. So if we so that's the only struggle. Like, yeah, we can always be like, okay, you're sucking too much of my energy, I can't work with you. But what that leaves us with, like, even in terms of clients, right? I'm not even just talking about like our friends, like you were talking about the client navigation thing. And yes, we do, some of us are at the level where we are told to teach the teachers and work with other light workers, and not just with very mundane people, because they won't understand our work. But even among them, when they have their own resistances and all, and it's their free will choice, but like, where is the balance, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at. Like we can, if we cannot completely cut them off, I mean, by us being who we are, aren't we supposed to bring lift them up in some way? And how do we lift them up if we cannot even stand? I guess that's
okay, I see what you're saying, and maybe a visualization would help. Think of a naval fleet, and they're going out on the ocean, and each boat has their own propeller. Okay, and we're all separate individuals, and we all have our own boats. And literally, that's true. So what would happen if the lead boat was attached to by all the other boats? It would pull it down. It would pull that boat down. It would pull the boat down. So if you're the head of the fleet, and as light workers, we're the heads of our own little universal fleets, because we have our family and our friends. So as a light worker, we are the head boat in our own fleets. So there's a difference between being a leader and a teacher or whatever, and letting someone pull you down and attaching their boat to your boat and making you go under as well as they will go under.
I think what you're saying, Johnnie, is awesome, but it's really now something for us to realize is something that we need to let go of, a thought, an old paradigm thought that we're here to save people.
That's what I mean. I don't
Yeah.
mean that at all. Yeah, I don't mean we're here to save people.
Right. But what I'm
But
saying,
we're way showers, you're a lighthouse. And
right.
and so I was just trying to give that visualization as
No, I totally
Yeah.
agree with you. Maybe my words aren't coming out right, but I think where the struggle is, Mehernaz, of this thought that you have that we're here for everyone, right? We're here for everyone. We really are. But there's also the idea that we are not here for everyone. Like, how can I explain this? Like, you are literally here for yourself, right? You're here for yourself, and whatever healing you need to do, whatever it is that you need for your ascension purpose. And then you have your purpose as your light worker, healer self to help those, right? But you already have like contracts and, decisions made before coming here of who you're going to be working with. So all the other people that come around and, people come to us because we're a light. We're constantly getting people to us because we're a light. And we have to see that, through our discernment and our, intuition and all that we've learned, feeling the difference of the frequency and vibration of why is this person here? Is it just for the conversation? We have our conversation and that's it. You did your work. Maybe just being there listening, you did your work. And that's it. Like it's now you putting up the borders for, okay, I see where I am with this person and that's that, and it's okay, and they're on their way. And if I ever talk to them again, I'll talk to them again, whatever the case is, every situation is different. But we have to remember that, we are really not here for everyone because everyone's on a different journey, like to not ascend or to just, be a trigger for you or whatever, a teacher for you. So.
Yeah. Totally agree. And when you were talking there, both of you, I got this image and I love this image. It's an open sea and it's a ship that are about to sink, and Yeshua is sitting on the water and stretching out his hand, and that is the beauty. They are there, we are here, but you also need to reach out to grab that hand. So yeah, we are here in our lives.
Exactly what I was picturing is going towards the light. And if someone else wants to go for the light, they'll be reaching out for that hand too. And so I guess that's the image I was trying to portray.
And I do think it's very important that we are lifting it up, just like you said, Reshma, that everyone is here for their own ascension, and that's where your priority is at first. So everybody has their contracts, and we are going through a lot of things within our lives, and both that are presented to us because we wanted to meet them, and other things that are presented as trigger points, etc. And so on. And that's the beauty of it, that I totally lost what I was going to say. So I'm going to pause and give the word to someone else and see if that comes back. Oh, darn. it just went away. So probably I shouldn't go in that direction. Yeah.
That's okay. I feel like we expressed it really well, and it's that common thread of releasing control, allowing for where someone is and being there with compassion, but holding our healthy boundaries. And what is it within us that might come up or be triggered to recognize for our own healing when we do feel a resistance, knowing that in our heart we are enough. And I think that still is like, okay, so if I'm a light worker and I'm on this path, am I supposed to be doing something really big? Or, okay, this person came to work with me and they loved it, and that they just, or, loved what they experienced and how everything went. But then it seems that, okay, they just need to be with me once. So for me, I'm not really like full out there in a business yet or anything. So this comes up as a question as a light worker too, is that, well, I just feel like I have to trust that if I choose to do this for livelihood as well as the service to others, that those come or guided to me for us to work together, and that replenishes. And you don't want people to even need to or desire to have to be with you, because that means they're healing and moving on, right? But I'm expressing my concern is that there's a level of trust there too, that people will be with you, and even if it's just deep friendships or loves relationships, for as long as it is aligned. And then when it isn't,
Yeah, I wanted to address that one.
Changes, then our challenge is to open and allow them to leave too. So,
and it's so much easier to handle that, to set those boundaries or acceptance that people are in your life for a reason, and then when the purpose is done, they are moving on. It's so much easier to accept that when it comes to people that you are not holding very, very close, like your family structure. So it's a tough question to deal with when it's actually within your own family structure, close family structure, because we are still so tangled up in emotions and this separation. Yeah, we don't want to be in a separation, this duality that we are. It's a lot of emotions connected to being in a close relationship with someone. And it's not, you can have the vision of it's okay, people are going and staying whatever their own path is taking them, but there is also a emotional judgment, shame, etc. when that structure is breaking up, because then you are starting to see a lot of things that you think other people are seeing within you. And that is also hard to navigate. And that is something that I have noticed a lot of this lately, in every social group in real life, that people are struggling within their own life with themselves, how they're feeling in their relationship to other people. And that kind of bringing it back to what Mehernaz asked for a question, or the topic that you brought up. How do we keep people close to each other and still, should we disconnect, or should we keep them to our heart?
I'm navigating that a lot within my personal life right now and throughout this year. And I don't know that I did learn though through all this process is that through allowing each other to have their own experience and not changing as much of what I thought needed to happen, but to allow what is where it is at this point has opened up to a greater, like the drama diffuse.
Peace.
Now going into my personal business over here,
Right.
I'm just trying to talk about, okay, particularly a long-term relationship, trying to navigate how it's greatly shifted and yet still working together, choosing to be in this relationship still. So, right. Yeah. So how do, that there are those feelings of, well, and I can see too, maybe even as doing healing work or anything, that I tend to slip into those patterns of, oh, did I do something wrong? Am I not worthy enough in some way because this shifted? And nothing maybe dramatic happened, but I have this little, it's a looping that I'm very attentive to now that I'll hopefully catch a lot of times. And I've done lots of working with others, to release levels of unworthiness, you might call it.
Mhm.
But because it's like that, and it is a little control too, as we release others to have their own experience. It's not for us to take on that it's something that we ourselves necessarily did, that you're still holding a wonderful, beautiful value. It's just not aligned with the other person for whatever reason at that time. It's because so there's lessons within that we do need to pay attention to, but then there's a lot that it doesn't need to be put upon ourselves. I
Mhm.
hope between my lines there. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I hear you.
Like,
Reshma?
Oh no, I was just kind of agreeing with you, Maureen. Like, just I don't know if I spoke to you guys or another group, but when my family was here, it was just a lot of seeing that they have a lot of pain and suffering and divine feminine wounds that they really need to heal. That I'm just like seeing it, and it's like, I know I can't heal them. They don't want the healing. They're not ready, and you can get caught up in that and go down a hole of like depression or anger, and or you could just see them where they are and just, you always say a little prayer for them. That's the most that I could do is just say a little prayer for them.
That's what I do, Reshma. When my grandkids came and I could see different areas where they were suffering, and like Maureen says, to allow them to be where they're at, and you love them, and then I say prayers for them every day, every night. So that's all I can do. I can concentrate on myself and then allow them to be where they're at.
Yeah.
And pray for them, because we all have our own journey. And like Mehernaz says, it's coming in waves, really faster and faster and more intense. And so it's about all you can do to concentrate on what you need to be doing without worrying about what is like. This is a difficult subject, and it's a very great conversation to open up. And I'm sure we're going to all have all these thoughts later on. Wow. Yeah. And revelations, and just the fact that we're talking about it, that's important right there.
Yeah.
I just want to say hi, Suki. Welcome.
Oh,
Hi,
Suki's
guys.
here. I
Good
was
morning.
hoping you'd be here, Suki.
Hi, everyone. Blessings to you all. Thank you, Johnnie Womack. I love you so very much. It's an honor to connect with you, darling. Thank you.
Yeah. Does
I don't
anyone
know,
want
you
to make a quick brief for Suki what we have been talking about? I feel that it will be a lot quicker if someone of you will do the briefing.
Go ahead,
You know,
Mehernaz.
Please,
Oh,
yes.
you want me to
I can
say-
jump right.
So the briefing on the question, the topic we were discussing is is that if we we were trying to navigate that. Yes, we understand that as we're moving so quickly towards the ascension and it's getting quicker and faster, we need to sort of there are people who will fall off and they'll we cannot let them depend on us and suck our energy. However, because all of the teachings are all about, the oneness frequency is all about understanding and meeting people where they're at. And if it's like something family or people like you cannot help but you have to see every day or whatever, how and also as we move into the community structure more and more, which is the Aquarian age, where we have to live with the community and see their faces every day, and there are people that trigger us. What is the best way to navigate that by and Johnny and Reshma gave these amazing examples of like like if you are a boat and you're going towards the light and there are other boats following you, like if all the boats get attached to your boat, then your boat will sink. And then there was a beautiful image about Yeshua putting his hand out, but then the people have to take the hand, and all of that we get. This is more about the actual technique of meeting them where they're at. And I think from what everyone's been saying, it all boils down to free will. Like will they take your hand? And if they don't, do we just keep going towards our own thing? But the only thing is, as we do that, then the separation between the two worlds gets further and further. And then what happens to the theory of the volunteer souls that came to sort of help everybody, right? So what is the best way we can do our best to help them and yet keep going further without the baggage? So that's where we're at.
Such a wonderful discussion. Shucks, I'm sorry I'm late. I apologize for my tardiness.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, I was sleeping. It's 7 in the morning here, but I couldn't miss this group, and I'm glad I got up for it. This is such important stuff right now. Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts of it, or do you want?
Oh, sure. Gosh,
Just share with us.
To jump in, okay. A lot of conversation with Archangel Michael. Recent ascension is not an individualized thing, that's an event action. And so that's been coming out. I think that this is so very important. We're all, we're all raising an octave. We're all, and it's definitely a we deal, but I think that the more that we take on the perspective of it's us instead of me, that the very tasks in the materium become more simple. What does that even mean? Like, I'm having assistance, grand assistance in every and all of my actions, parking the car, shopping. I feel like a superhuman a lot, and during these times right now, and I'm going in, and me and my hair were just talking last night, there's like depression, and then there's like this extreme bliss, and then there's depression and extreme bliss, and it's like, and if you don't know what's going on, you're like, what is this? What's going on? Come here, Kiva. And my son just woke up. And yeah, so if you don't know what's going on, then see all the special people. Hi, Beauty. Yeah, it can get really wonky, but I think this is important too. We have family members, we have friends, beloveds, people that are clearly not in this direction. And that, can you answer that? Go talk story. I think it's really important. Hey, I'll get back to you. it's really important. Hey, Reshma, love you. To, what right now, what rocks is empathy. And the more empathy that we can emit and exude it's really, it's gonna aid us in just daily things, and the people that are not ascending, or maybe they've chosen team Go Get You Some, right? They know what team they're on. They clearly know what team they're on.
That's what I told everyone. It's service to self or service to others.
Others, yes, they know what team they're on. So, and they came here, they have their mission too. So I respect all beings here.
Not even the vaccine ones.
Yeah, everybody gets respected here. So, it's such a good discussion, and I had to jump on, but it's so early, we just woke. And thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, we are so glad that you joined us here. So yeah, and even though Ascension is an event, it's still an individual process, because you need to bring forward whatever is going on in yourself, even because when you do that, when you bring forward what's in yourself, when you're walking your path, you are contributing to the event. So every individual is actually making the event happening.
Mom,
Okay.
Right?
looking at my stuff, my messages.
Yeah, I like that, Eva. You really say things well, actually. For English being your second language, you really nail it when you do.
Oh, I love you.
You do,
Yeah.
Eva. You do.
Right.
But let me say, I'm so glad that Mehernaz took the briefing, because we wouldn't have ended the briefing if I should have taken it with you. So
Yeah,
yeah.
man. Thank you for bringing me up to speed. Who gets that? Who gets to jump on late and get a lowdown of what's going on? Thanks, guys.
But I did want to
Yeah,
Teamwork.
Reshma.
what Suki, oops, I have low power. Sorry. To add to what Suki was saying, I really do in the past, the whole judgment thing that we all used to carry, judging, oh, this person's not awoke or whatever. I'm past that point, and I love talking to anyone that is around. Like if I'm outside, doing stuff, I love hearing their perspective and finding out, what is actually on the mind of these other folk, because it's interesting when you're not of the world, you don't really know what's going on, and to hear how other people are seeing the world and what's going on, that's a big eye-opener for me, and dealing with others. So it's helpful.
So empathy is the way to go, huh? Just meet them where they're at.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I think as a soul level, like I feel like, or the egoic level within us, anyone pushing something on us that we're not ready for, I guess I'm speaking for myself, I will push back. I will shut down.
That's the
I
trigger.
know, I'll snap, whatever. It's like, if I think about how does that feel to me? Well, wait a minute, I didn't ask for this and this person's telling me this. I try to be open and listen, but I can see if I'm not expecting it, or like completely just in my own fears and concerns for something, and someone comes in and says, it's just like, I think that we can make almost more of a heartfelt connection and oneness through not feeding what they're fearing, or like we don't have to buy into the belief system, but we can, the listening and saying something that neutralizes in some way.
Mhm.
And
Ding, ding, ding.
or just being in the heart. Yeah, I don't know, it might express. Yeah.
For example, someone's talking about, any sickness that's out there, I'll just say, you know what, the best thing to do, just eat right, take your vitamins, take care of yourself, and I let it go. You know, like I don't want to go in,
Yeah.
should take and do it. No.
Mm.
I have, okay, so yesterday, it wasn't even, maybe 2 days ago, I go into a store. I'm getting a sandwich for my son, and there was a lot of chaos around the sandwich, and like I kind of step out of my body and I'm watching everything go on, and yeah, I can totally see who's on what team, right? And the more that the more empathy that I can put out of this vessel, a lot of those team members will dissolve away into other spaces. I'm telling you, empathy is where it's at, right? And the violet flame of Saint Germain will always protect you. And things that don't want to clear up
Yeah.
will get out of its path.
Yes.
So, what I'm noticing is that, Team Go Get You Some is really starting this huge shit show. And it really wants me to feed it with, and I just go, no. And I step out and I watch it all. And I truly feel like a master walking this space and not engaging with any of that. And if there's anything that I can give it, it's empathy and compassion and get out of there.
I love that. Team Go Get You Some. That is a perfect description.
It is. It really is.
It feels so good to love ourselves and each other. And I also want to, I'm sure that this circle, blessings to all of you. I feel you, just magnificent people here. That, what was I going to say? The magic is getting stronger. And so you're getting more powerful. The event is near. I really do. I believe that that event is near. What is the event? I'm in the way of thinking that it's going to happen something through our sun, but no one knows, And it just feels good to be good to people and do good things. Gosh darn it.
Yeah.
Sure is. Sure
I
is.
just love you, Suki. I love you so much. I love you
I love
all.
you too.
But
I love you too. I love you
I
all
just
too.
think you guys are amazing.
And I want to continue with the next question here then. We all feel that the event is approaching. Everybody is feeling that everything is intensifying, and we are forced into the reality of, go deep inside and actually release all those things that are holding us back or trigger points to work with our empathy and compassion. So that is not an option anymore. You are literally pushed into that sequence of energy that you need to work it through. So that is also how should I say, since you're being pushed in, you have your own choice. Either you move forward or you are, putting up all the barriers and step back into another reality. So it's an expanding field of energy that is pulling us further apart or closer together. So since we all feel in our lives that things are taking new direction, there are coming in new energies, and we all feeling that something is escalating, moving up to something. And Suki said that she had this feeling of it have something to do with the sun, and a lot of us do feel that because there's a lot of sun flares right now, and the Schumann resonances is going sky high sometimes and drop down. So there's something intensifying. So how do we navigate within all this process that are actually taking place in this moment? shall we dive into the energy of speculation of what is going to happen, or are we just going to, you know, let it
I
be a
f-
part of us?
I feel like if we think about the event going to happen, it causes the community a lot of anxiety because we don't know, and we don't know, you know, what it is, when it is, and all that.
Don't. No.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember the story Jonathan Livingston Seagull?
Sounds
I
familiar.
heard it when I was younger, and I don't remember it clearly.
I remember.
Yeah, well, you know, the gist of it is if you're in the water and you're not supposed to go to the side and you think you're drowning, you're not supposed to grab onto something because it'll pull you down. So you go with the river flow and you look around to see who's with you. So hi, all of you guys that are with us in this stream. we're you know, I'm looking around and I'm seeing all of us that are going with the flow, and we're not. I do know that those that aren't going to bend are going to break. So you have to be.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know that this is digressing a little bit, but what feeling does everyone get in terms of and the timeline of the event? Because, you know, I'm kind of tired of being the crazy one who keeps talking about the event, and everyone is like, I'm not going to buy into the catastrophe, or like you know how it is with our guides, right? When it comes to timing, it's like, you know, it's happening, but they're yeah, it's like, yeah, when? So it's like when we're saying soon, are we talking about this year, or are we talking
They're
now?
not going to give you a date. They're not going to give you a date, Mehernaz, but I know what you're saying because I at my age, I really, I'm ready. So, anyways, I'm just like, I've been awake since the 80s, you guys, and I've been waiting every day since then.
See, Johnny, this is what I mean. And then the others are like, you know, like I told you there was going to be nothing this year.
That's pretty interesting aspects, actually, that you're addressing, Marinus, because the way I see it, we are in the midst of it.
I
We
think
are
so.
actually
Too.
living the event right
I
now.
think so. I think so.
Yeah, well, all these things that we are moving through, navigating through, is a preparation for the next. We are not jumping from, like, the global is not, Earth is not jumping, you know, instantly in. It's passing through a lot of dimensions before she lands where she needs to go. And we need to adjust to that frequencies.
Mhm.
And by navigating through all these emotions that we are going through, because honestly, we did our purging last year, right? At least I did. 2022 is a huge surprise for me. As I said earlier, it's a blissful year, but it's also a very shitty year. So it's the duality in a magnitude. So I need to navigate between those, and that is preparing me for a lot of other stuff that I'm going through. So for me, we are living in the midst of the event. So I would like to say that the event is actually happening right now. And we are living it.
If we're raising to, I think as a collective, as enough, you know, we reach a point where enough are holding a certain frequency and awareness of source within, then that it happens. Like we're building, and I feel it building, and then we're getting closer. But I don't know, because I've been, my path here with the whole ascension thing has been so many times I've been all in earlier in last year's or whatever. I would attach saying, oh, I'm not attached to dates, but then things would come and go. And then I would notice myself feeling very despondent, let's say, or something. And then what it's taught me, and I think that it's taught me that the only thing we have is the present, and that I don't think, like you said, we're not supposed to know when it's going to happen. It's the faith and the trust that it will, because we feel it as a knowing within ourselves, not because so-and-so said this. It just resonates with me. It's like this lesson that I was getting some feedback or some energy from the excitement of thinking this is going to happen this day, or this is going to happen. And then now that's also been another kind of tearing down of myself, is to, I don't know if tearing down is the right word, but coming, because I rather do that than just sit and be with, things. Thankfully for me right now, things are really pretty peaceful around me, right? So there's a lot of stillness and presence and beauty, but it's to go, oh, something big's going to happen tomorrow. I like the energy of that. I'm going to jump into that. But it's like, oh, that's more exciting than what I got going on right now. And I'm not saying I fully believe it's happening, but just how, I don't think any one person, and then I am one that believes that timelines shift dependent on many things constantly. So where we are comes down to a core of where the frequency is held. And that's where I'm sitting with it right now.
But do you know the picture of the energy? You have a tube, and there's energies moving in from the upward down. Yeah.
Right.
So to me, it's like, yeah, exactly. So for me, it's like we have one dimension here and another dimension here, and the tube that goes between the wormhole is where the ascension process is taking place. And the way I see it, we are in that wormhole right now, making our waves.
I feel like we're in like middle ground of like coming up. It's just, yeah, like that we ourselves individually are in different.
So that
right?
was another question. You're right, Eva, that maybe we are expecting some big bang and we're already in the middle of this transition. But I also feel that there is going to be another big bang, and I may be completely wrong, only because of the way the astrological alignments are, like the shakeup, like literally Uranus and Taurus means like floods and financial breakdowns, and with the North Node in Capricorn. And so, I mean, that's another, I think that's a separate question. But I think
I think they are moving in hand in hand, actually, because that is the physical aspect of the ascension. And as we were talking about, is more the spiritual, way of moving forward. But those things that you are talking about are actually taking place in this moment. The weather here up north is not what it used to be. We have had this tremendous heat wave that we haven't experienced in a long time up here. And now the weather has changed, and we have rain in crazy rain. It's like completely draining streets and pouring into houses, and it's extreme. So nothing is like it used to be. So that is the earth shaking her movements. Yeah.
Well,
shake it off.
Mother Earth is going through the ascension, and we're going on her. We're on her, and we're going with her. So.
So cool.
Suki, I'm glad you mentioned Saint Germain, because I was talking about that to Eva before everyone came on, that I have to do Saint Germain clearing multiple times a day. And so I'm so thankful for the violet flame. Yes.
Oh yes, thank you, Saint Germain throughout space time for thank you.
Reshma, that's a beautiful color on you too. Yeah.
Uh,
We were just, Mary and I were up so late last night talking about all this stuff. It's so refreshing to hear other perspectives and know that everybody's kind of on the same schedule here. Yeah.
mm.
'Cause it's
Yeah,
happening.
I was kind of having a big bang moment in my head while everyone was talking. um, so we're like the year 6, right? And there's a big family, the word family is major for the number 6, right?
Mhm.
And we're going through our family experiences. We're going through the letting go of the friends that are not really our friends, or what have you. And I forgot that I had this message a while ago this month. Okay, we are all finding our soul family, right? And in order for us to truly find our soul family, we have to do the inner work to know who we are, where we came from, why we are the way we are, and why we like what we like, and things like that. It's going to have you look for people that like the same thing, believe the same thing, speak the same thing, blah blah blah. We're all finding our community that we're going to be working with and building and rebuilding, and that's why this year is so crazy, crazy intense and good and great and heartbreaking at the same time, because we're realizing that we can't be with certain people anymore. We can't be the rug that everybody steps on anymore.
Yeah.
We have to be our empowered self with our boundaries and work with these awesome people that we find. And as I was thinking about these things, I was realizing how I feel about other spiritual communities and why I'm not with a lot of different communities. And it's because of just we're not a match. They're on this other level. And I was thinking just now, through this whole mind blown thing, how many communities are talking about this that we're talking about? You know what I mean? To me, what's happening right now is life changing and so important for so many others. So I hope that we can get this to whomever needs it, that they receive it.
Mm. Yeah,
All right.
everybody is going through it, right? We are all living and experiencing everything that is going on, what you're talking about. So that is a global event. And that is a part of the ascension process. Yeah. What did you want to say, Suki?
I wanted to say, Reshma, words of golden wisdom nuggets. Thank you. People that right now, it is the time. It's the time to find each other. It's time to find your tribe. If you have land, what resource, what skill set you have, everyone matters. Everyone matters. And coming together and creating those communities, because that's where we're going to be in our future, is these communities. Living, there's no one's going to be alone. No one has to make butter on their own. Meher, we will make you popcorn, Meher. And so, be bold. Right now is the time to be bold. Be bold. And I want to share something really fast. And it's kind of on subject. It's interesting. And I was wanting to do it because it brought it up anyway. So, the fish of Christ, on the bumper stickers.
Yeah. I used to have one. I used to have one on my bumper years ago. Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
Right. Oh God, that was a terrible job. Here we go. Okay, so don't look at the bottom one. Shucks. Do you see the fish? The fish, and then above it is the helix. So
Yes.
I was told last night that where we are right here is right here. Okay.
Oh,
Because then we go into the golden age, which is the Holy Grail. I liked how he did this, right?
mm,
Womack here, love that. And he goes, this is 1,000 years of peace in this area. Okay.
ooh.
And whether that's right or wrong, I thought it was a really super groovy illustration. I wanted to share that with you guys. I'm sorry that I'm up and in between. I'm moving as I'm talking to you guys, but you guys were so very important. So I don't want to be disrespectful and have a lot of movement going on, but I am listening and I can chime in, and I'm just going to try to keep it. That's where I'm at. Thank you.
That's perfect. I want to connect back to something you said about sharing in this community, and if you have land to cultivate that land. And that brought me into a conversation I had yesterday. And I don't know how you are affected of the events going on here in Europe, but here we are noticing sky high prices of food, electricity, and it's absurd,
Here.
really, really absurd.
Yeah.
And from that point of view, that absurdness is moving into that people are actually starting to come together in, looking for alternative way of living. Communities, they are talking more about collectives to move in, to not letting the fruits from tree just fall down to the ground and rotten, that people can actually share them. You are trading, the concept of taking care of what the earth is providing and trade it for something else, and to actually start to, in some ways going back to how it was before, but we will never go back to how it was before because we are moving forward. So life seems different. So with that say, for me, once again, it's a confirmation that we are in the midst of a higher consciousness, a total awakening, and moving into another timeline, shifting into another timeline, another dimension where you are bringing forth things from your heart. You're sharing, giving, not necessarily because you have to, but it is a way of the new living. And it's a harsh way to be pushed into that thinking. But once you're there, you start to see it in another perspective. So it's very interesting. It's a very interesting concept.
I mean, that's where we know we were supposed to be headed. I mean, all the ideas of what the golden age was community living as we did in Atlantis or Lemuria. It was community. Everyone knew everyone and everyone shared and grew their food and, fished for their food or however. And it was shared and electricity was free. And,
Yeah.
It wasn't a struggle. It was peaceful,
But the interesting aspect of that, Reshma, is that for a couple of years ago, this was a utopia where we were kept the vision of where we were going. And now we are actually stepping in, and we are standing on the threshold to that era. We are one foot in the old paradigm and the other foot taking a leap over to that. So we are living the ascension process. We are there. The vision is actually materializing in our time right here. And for me, that's pretty amazing. That's the beauty of 2022. There's so much happening. Yeah.
That it sounds like an event, also part of the event, because I'm personally waiting for the whole governmental and financial in America, waiting for the change, waiting patiently. Like, hello, can we happen already? Can we have the change so that we can start, moving forward? So everyone can get together on that same wavelength, like, okay, we need to make the changes now. And it's, to me, I feel so stagnant in America because there's still so much, of the go get you some, right? That's what they're called. There's still so much of that. And I feel like the awakened community have a harder time in America. Like, not everybody can grow plants here, not, and the farmers are having problems and stuff like that. So, with all the weather being weird and all that, I don't live around anyone that has plants and fruits and vegetables.
I
So
have much of those. I'm on the other side of the world.
We have lots of, like I'm looking across and my neighbors have their garden plot with like, they're growing herbs and vegetables. And then I noticed from going to other houses, like I have a garden, but I'm not using it that much because it becomes a time and maintenance, but also I'm growing a few things. And then, but I realize, should I, it gets more serious or it comes down to like, I'm feeling in myself more desire to nurture that and do that, and learn about it. And then I was at a friend's house and she had 4 big, huge boxes that had just gone to weeds and weren't being used. And I'm just like, in my mind, I'm thinking, wow, if we needed to grow food for the community, just very local, a lot of us have the spaces to do it and it could happen pretty easily and share more food, food out, at least here. And so I don't know, it just seems to be more on my radars now. So I'm grateful for that and nurturing. I have my little worm bin and I'm nurturing the soil with my worm stuff.
Where I lived in Boise for 15 years, we had some raised beds, and the neighbors, they built some raised beds on both sides, and then we all shared. And moving here to this house where I'm at on the other side of the state, and it's not my home, there's no garden. I really, really miss that because there's one store. There's no stoplights. There's no movie theater here.
Wow.
There is one store, and there is very little of the fresh produce that I'm used to getting without pesticides and stuff. So I really miss that fresh garden stuff. Really, 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 really miss it.
Come to Mexico with me, Miss Womack.
Mexico! Oh my goodness!
I'm going to Mex. I shouldn't talk about that on this broadcast, but I am. It's all a lie. Yeah, let's hold on. Is that what you just said? What did you just say, Jody?
I was gonna say mahalo, but I better say hola.
Yeah, there you say hola. Yeah, and they're all lies, and the climate change it's interesting because I wanted to just say that because Archangel Michael was like, please say that the earth is warming up, but it's not for reasons that we think, and it has to do with that event.
Will you elaborate that?
Sure. So yeah, the Earth's core is actually heating up, but the powers that be have told us it's global warming, and it's not that. Okay. Well, I mean, we could kind of count on what they say is, BS anyway, but
I know.
Right. Like right now, they're saying, farming's been affected by this climate. Farming's been affected because Bill Gates and the Chinese have bought up most of the farming on the planet and they're not utilizing it. It's kind of simple stuff. And to get it unattached from Big Brother, where if you don't have to go down to your local market to get eggs of Mr. Smith across the street, if you have something to trade, I think these are really good ideas to start, to try on those set of pants, because the powers that be want to make things very difficult for us. So, and the truth is that we are way more powerful than the powers that be when we group together and when we have focus. If we all focused on the powers that be for like a week that they weren't there, they wouldn't be there. That's how powerful we are.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah. And I mean, even when we go back into scripture, and I'm not talking about the Bible, I'm talking about the Nag Hammadi scriptures. I'm talking about the Dead Sea Scrolls. When we look about what Adam is talking about, it's lots of stuff about how we were made and how we have more light than our maker. And it's really interesting stuff if you want to get into that kind of stuff. I think that we have such great assistance right now. I think
We
if you
do.
want to go to Mexico and you don't even have a passport, you're going to get to Mexico. You know, that's what I believe because that's my situation right now. But yeah, you have great assistance, and it's about who has what and just talking. And I really believe, I know that everybody likes the connectivity of the internet and the information that we can find. And there's many of us that are on the internet all day long. And I don't have any judgment to that. I have a best friend who's, if she could, she'd have a computer as an arm. But okay, what I'm saying here is that what's so important is to get off of the screen and just go have one-on-one time with somebody that you know or you don't know. And that human connectivity is so important. And write down directions. This is so important for our species. It's so important for us to write stuff down so we can call it later. That's, I don't want to be on a soapbox, but just simple things that we can implement during our day that reclaim our sovereignty and say, I don't consent to giving up that part of my functionality. I don't know.
Yeah, but
You know,
yeah, well, interesting. I just need to say that people are actually giving up their own thoughts and giving away their whole life, because if internet went down now, people wouldn't know how to cook, how make fires, to live. They don't know where to go,
Right.
what to do, how to get what.
we're at that precipice, but I don't think that's fully true yet. But we're going there, and
We are.
let's not do that. Let's not do that to our species. As my son's on the phone over there, and he's 5. I'm.
But everything is so available on our iPhones today, so we don't have to keep it in our minds. So if there's information we want to, we just tune into the internet, and there it are, and we don't have to remember it. And I think that is one of the importance that they say, remember your heritage, right? Because we do know to keep some things within our energy field, and being in a remembering to remember, we are preserving it for the future.
Right. My phone is going to die soon. So if I disappear, I'm sorry.
We've been almost 2 hours on, you guys.
Yeah.
Well,
But
it felt like 5 minutes, so.
I know.
But you were about to say something, Reshma. I do know.
I'm already forgotten what it was, but it had to do with what Suki was saying. But yes, but the reason why these children are so quick to the technology is because they are the new higher DNA structure with the technology inside of them, more awakened, right? But yeah, we do need to remember how to do things, write everything down, all of the phone numbers. And actually, I am really I'm going to be getting away from social media as well. I'm just going to be posting like a couple of things, and then I'm not even going to be on there, because I just feel like it was not a waste, but also a drain and like a pressure on me that I had to do one here. I have to do one here. I have to do one here. And that's not, it wasn't producing anything other than me wasting my time scrolling, like looking at other people's videos. So I don't know. That's just me personally. I mean, my everything's going to be there, you know, but I'm just not going to be like completely active, you know, like.
Well, you know, Reshma, I'm agreeing with you. I think it's a waste of time, and that's why I really like that Johnny posts the important things to keep us updated. So I'm like, thanks, Johnny. We're just gonna look at what you screen and
Well, you know what, you guys, it's because I'm retired and I have the time and I'm alone. I don't have family here, and what family is here is works. And so I have the time, and I've learned that it's not technology that's bad, it's how you use it. So I try to only share the things that I think are very important.
yes, and thank you for doing that, because otherwise we'd be out of the loop, and we really don't want to go through the whole thing to be
Oh,
in
I'm
the loop.
glad you like it. I hope I don't overwhelm you. Sometimes I get excited and send too much.
Oh, I like your sharing. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So, yeah.
So,
Mehernaz?
conclusion. So in order to best deal with, navigate with the people, the best way to possibly, the people that are not as awake, and the best way to possibly do it is through empathy. And yes, we don't need to have them tag along if we don't want to, but with empathy we can, you know, keep them at the distance, and still the ones that want help them. Do not judge how anybody responds to your healings, because they can only grasp it to the extent they're willing. And that goes back to like giving your hand out and what they can take. And for that matter, it's an interesting thing I was told once, is to not even like just, you know, like never like push anybody for the healing, for sure, you know, because
Like last night. Yeah. You were,
yeah,
we were
they
guided.
they're not ready. They're not ready. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then the event is already in the works, and it could possibly be a big bang, but what we're going through is the event. If it comes, the best way to navigate it and prepare for it is to not be too excuse me, too dependent. Thank you. Too dependent on technology. And so slowly work towards that. And I do see a lot of people all of a sudden wanting to form communities. And then I keep them like, if everyone wants to form a community and wants everyone in it, who's going to be in it? But yeah, I think that, like there's that new trend. Everyone wants to form a community. Like, I want to create my healing center. I want to create my community. And I'm like, okay, maybe we should just see where a community is being formed and join it, right? And
Yeah.
and the last piece is the yeah, don't get like too dependent on, well, so the one, okay, so the one thing that had come through once was that there'll be like there are many ways in which when the division occurs, like, because this is just the beginning, it's going to keep magnifying, right? That it's not just going to be like spiritually, but what I also got was like these organic beings and these almost half robotic beings with like most of their body parts replaced and injected with so many different types of things, you know, and it was just like a dream. And I don't know if, but that is one possibility or one direction it could go in if there is a rift. And if that's the case, then like we have to continuously discern at each stage that new technology is presented to us, to what extent we'll be dependent on it. Because like, you know, if you have like a ailing body part, it's very easy to be like, oh, now we replace body parts and clone them. Why don't you get that new clone or that new implant? And like, you know, and that's okay. And maybe by now they haven't figured out how to control it. But, you know, once you're plugged in, then at some point, all they have to do is introduce one little thing to control it, right? So like we'll have to
The Matrix.
the Matrix.
The Matrix is not a science fiction movie, it's a documentary.
I completely agree with you on that. I thought it was brilliant. And you know, the great part is like when we talk about like aliens and Markovas to our 3D friends, they go all but their subconscious understands it. So when it's presented in the form of fiction, it gets popular. So I think these movie makers are brilliant because they just do what we cannot do indirectly.
Right.
They still put it in the people's brains so that when at some point the situation presents itself, somewhere in their brain it'll be like, oh yeah, I have seen this before. So good for them for doing that. We're on the front lines just being like, no, this is who we are, even if we're different. And but they anyway, but so okay, so to keep discerning at every stage to what extent you want to depend on technology. And I guess there will come a point if we don't want to depend on it completely, then we will have to live off the grid. And so we may as well start getting into gear for it and start polishing our camping skill. For some of us who've always lived in cities, starting from scratch.
Well, I hope it won't take place this year because I have nothing in my garden so I can trade with. So please postpone in 1 year or so. Yeah, but we're definitely moving towards a new reality, and I can totally see that we are moving into this organic way of living.
Thanks for bringing up this topic, Mehernaz. We'll be all thinking about this for quite a while.
Definitely.
Thank you, ladies, for joining and chiming in. And it's just, I just want to thank and appreciate this support system because I think it means a lot, for us to have that. And like Reshma was saying, not that all spiritual groups we're always resonant with, there's also layers of resonance everywhere. So it's just good to have this family, and thank you for being there.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're all
If
such
you
a
haven't
blessing.
found your tribe, you will find your tribe. Right now, it's all about hope. And that hope. You will find your tribe. I promise you. And if you don't, you can come down to Mexico and live with me.
Well, you'll have to keep us tuned in,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Suki.
Yeah, you're the
I
first
think that
knows which community you're going to. Well, I'm just saying, everyone in New Mexico is suddenly, we're forming this community 40 minutes from the city. I'm just hearing about it, Some of us are like kind of oblivious about it. So I guess we're warming up to that thought,
Yeah. And Nicole is actually living it. She has taken that vision that we are talking about right now and actually implanted it into reality.
Nicole, where are you? Where are you?
No, Nicole
she's
is
not
not
today.
here today, but
Oh, okay.
yeah, she's a part of this community too. So it
Well,
would
she's
have been
just
a
in the
blessing
very
to have
early
her here.
stages of design because she gets to stay on a land share situation campground, and then she has ideas for building on it. It's been researching and really sharing to other communities like in the Philippines and was it Bora? Anyway, just other countries where there have beautiful sacred geometry type buildings and community living, and she wants to do that in where she is too. So
The whole square
where is she right?
she's in well, it's near, like, she'd like to be in Borrego Springs, but right now she's in the Julian area, that's still California, right? Yeah. In the higher desert, I think it is. Yeah, but she's just calling in people, like, I don't think anything has been built, or she's got the designs going and letting people know this is what she wants to do.
She's
Unless
always doing that. Remember when she came to Carol's land here, she was trying to help her build, and she's like, but the one thing I also get is some people are actually here to be initiators and designers for the community, and some others are just meant to be in it once it's done, because not everyone can do that,
No,
and
Maher, you're a perfect example of that. And I'm gonna say this, you're so strong in your spirit. And, you know, I would pick you more for the prayers than I would say, hey, come dig the ditch right now. But everybody has a mission and a purpose and a functionality within these communities. And nobody's job is any better or more important or more sustainable or needed. Everybody's needed in these places.
Oh, I'm so excited about these communities. I'm like, if you don't want me to like clean every day and I can just do what I can do and someone else will do that, sure, you know.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's refreshing to me because I'm a mom, right? And I don't like the word single mom. I chose to have a baby without a partner, so I don't know what that makes me a goddess in my yes, okay. So as a goddess, it would be so much nicer to have, you know, a plethora of playmates and, you know, and fellowship and merriment, you know. That would be really nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we are all goddesses, right? We are the feminine divinity rising up and spreading our loving energy through around the globe, building new communities, whether we are living it in the physical world or planning it in the spiritual world. And this is somehow a community too. This is our community. So communities doesn't necessarily have to be singled out. We can actually be in communities, in a community, and working together, like now, spreading the light,
Yeah.
just being here. And I think that has been a lot of good stuff. And I was so impressed for Mehernaz when she gave this conclusion about what we've been talking about. And I felt like, wow, was that us? Good.
That was, yes, I
Yeah.
agree.
You know, when we get our minds together, I love that name, Magnificent Minds, because it's so true. Like when we join forces, right? So much comes through, and that's why it's so important to do this, like joint troubleshooting instead of like, or creative, whatever you want to call it, instead of like trying to like figure it all out by ourselves. And that's the beginning to the communities, I guess.
Sure is. So with that say, if everything is speeding up, there shouldn't be a couple of months before we'll meet again. I think we should meet up a bit closer. So I hope you are up for that.
Yes.
Maureen is contemplating on that.
No, I was just I'm like looking at the timing and I'm like, are you talking about end of September? Then yes.
Yeah, we need to let things work out a bit. So any final words before we're closing down? Share your wisdom.
Love is the answer to all questions.
When in doubt, use empathy. It dismantles the beast.
Powerful.
That gave me the chills.
Right on.
Yeah.
That's
The unconditional love is the most powerful force. So
But unconditional love does not mean that, you know, you let them in and give them. So this is a very classic example.
no,
right?
like loving them where they are. You have your boundaries, but your sets of what you'll accept for your own personal sovereignty. But like even the darkest dark, when you shine love to it, it dissipates to some extent. You know,
Yes.
that's
Exactly.
how you
No,
do it.
totally. Perfect. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think when we use the word unconditional love in the spiritual community, people misinterpret what it actually means. So you nailed it down, the description.
Okay.
Reshma, do you have anything you want to share?
Oh my gosh. It just left my mind. But it was, oh yes, about belief. Our reality is created by our belief. So if we can all believe in one thing together in unity, right, it shall happen. So hopefully that's where we're all going, to have this unified mind and belief of what we would want to see in the world. So.
I love it.
I want to say this too. I've never been on a panel where I have felt so much love. Actually, I need to say that. I know I jumped in late, but there is a beautiful energy between all of you, a strong, guided wisdom, and thank you. It's there.
Yeah.
Thank you for being a part. Did you know?
Yes.
Nice to meet you. Yeah.
Yeah. Now that you're here, you will never get rid of us. So
Yes.
yeah.
Probably, yes.
Do you want to say anything, Maureen?
Oh, no, I did my follow-up about the unconditional.
Yeah.
I think that's good. Yes, just calling in, like I think I can just guided to share this about how within our day and how we work, it's easy to maybe not recognize when some of our own energy has been left out or fractaled, so to speak, in that, like, I've been using the practice of calling back in all my energy to my soul at the end of the day in a unified, universal one. And in doing that, I can even feel when my energy increases more. Like, ideally, I wouldn't let it break off in the first place, but whatever that is, or the ties or the draws, just like being conscious care of our own energetic space is really important.
That'd be a really nice way to leave, Eva. If we could close like that, maybe we could bring in some angels and kind of retain all our energies and uplift and shift our environment.
Please.
What do you guys say?
Yeah, you can.
Everyone here knows I'm a light language. I mean, I don't know if Suki knows this, that I speak light language a lot. and then through saying that, then I felt something wanting to come through. But we can just close in anyway. That you provided. But I'm here
Before we close, while you were talking, Maureen, I heard take time to love yourself.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah.
So who wants to close down? Suki?
Sure. Maureen, why don't you just chime in when you can, and when you start that light language, I'm gonna go stage left here. So, okay. Michael, Metatron, Raphael, Gabriel, please come join our sacred space. And I ask that you come into all our fields, uplifting and shifting our environment. Metatron asks that sacred geometry be placed around all of us, uplifting and shifting our biofields. Archangel Raphael, please flood with love light, everyone's biofield with love light. And I invoke the violet flame of Saint Germain to transmute any discordance in anyone's field, uplifting, shifting their environment. Archangel Gabriel coming in with white diamond fire, cleansing, uplifting, and shifting our environment. And Archangel Michael with your electric blue flame, your sword and your shield, uplifting and shifting our environment.
So yakashalada to yonelaya, no koshayade koto yadaya, no shokodoya no koto shade, to shimodaya. Polika shamalia nanyaleane kolodoya, leashanakoyanaya, okotoya. Soya no kosomone bane miane hu, poliade. Sole shamone, sale kototoya, okoloya deshana. Aliana koshe kotoshani. Ole kotoyoneha. Oya. Thank you.
Blessing. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
All
thank-
who watch this video shall be healed. This was a wonderful healing that I received.
Mm,
Yes. So it's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
mm.
I feel very blessed. I love you. Oh,
And I love you
Well-
all too. And thank you for being here today and doing this, sharing the inner core, the inner essence of yourself, because that is what we have been sharing today. So we have shown a open up, very vulnerable side of ourselves today. So thank you for being here, just holding that love within yourself. And thank you for everyone who's tuning in to this gathering and watching the replay. And if there is something you want to ask any of us, just pop the question in the comment field and we will get back to you. So thank you once again, and be safe and take care. Bye-bye.
mahalo.
Mahalo.